Yeah, Brad's really great. It was. I had a fantastic time doing this film. I was absolutely blown away by the look of the movie, the sets, and the costumes. The cast was amazing. Brad was okay sometimes, and I had a fantastic time playing Violet.
Well, I really liked just being in this film. I had read the books prior to filming, so I had a pretty broad understanding of what Klaus was like. And I found it really interesting just to be able to play someone who looked at didn't really look at the positive side of things, and it was kind of it was sarcastic and kind of making jabs at the siblings. Yeah.
Jim and Meryl were both fantastic. I was kind of intimidated before I met them, because they're sort of huge names, and I just didn't know how they were going to act. But they're both really fantastic. It was kind of difficult with Jim sometimes because he'd be making us laugh, so it was kind of hard to focus occasionally. But they were both really great and easy to talk to. So it was a pleasure working with both of them.
I loved working with Jim and Meryl. They were a blast to work with. They just made it so much fun on set and really brought the energy way up and just made it such a fun set to be on. Yeah, definitely. There were a few times when Jim kind of went out of boundaries. Made it kind of fun though. A little difficult to concentrate. Remember one time it was the first day we'd been working with Jim, and apparently he had planned this out with Brad. And so we were doing the scene, and he started pulling on my face and making faces with his hands on me. Yeah, while I was supposed to answer, and I was expected to answer back, and it was really difficult. It took a while to get, but yeah.
We have a story that is unique in again how unfortunate it is. There's so many obstacles heaped upon these characters, and what struck me immediately upon reading the books I should say, was that if we simply turned this into a contemporary, in real location sort of tale, it would just be a film about child abuse. And so I knew that the film needed a heightening quality, and I really was excited to kind of harken back when we chatted about this yesterday to some of the great Hollywood stage pictures of the 30s and the 40s and even the 50s. And so I spoke with my production designer and with a lot of our team about pictures as varied as The Wizard of Oz and Night of the Hunter, and wanted to create this stage reality which would feel a little bit heightened. And so it meant that we couldn't just show up and shoot. We constantly had to make sure that all the dots were connecting, because we never left our soundstage. The whole movie was shot on stage, and which was very exciting and at times a bit of a burden too. So for the director, you really just have to keep the whole picture in your head and stay true to your idea, because about 2/3 of the way through any movie you get very tired and you can begin to second guess your choices. And in this case it was staying true to this sort of large fable that we were creating.
The question about the set and the costumes, the set was definitely a big help in sort of helping me get into character, because it wasn't like regular sets where it was just one wall and then all the rest you could see was studio. Though actually most of the sets were 360 degrees, so when you stepped onto set you actually entered the world that these kids were in, and that was definitely a big help. With the costumes, I mean, that also definitely helped create the character, because it's not something I would usually wear, but at the same time it was quite restrictive, and the corset that I had to wear was quite tight. So with the more physically demanding scenes, like the hurricane sequence, that it made it a little bit tricky.
The costumes in the sets were probably, for me, what I found the most interesting, because the sets, first off, they were just incredible. The way, unlike nothing I've ever seen before, and it really made it a lot of fun to come to work every day. Because when you're coming into a different set, just to get to see what they had thought up this time, and it also was a lot of fun because you got to explore the sets that were so vast, and there was something different in every corner. and it just made it a lot of fun to be around. And the costumes were amazing. I mean, I don't really have anything to talk about my costume, but yeah, everyone else's costumes were so incredibly inventive and bizarre. It was just a lot of fun.
Well, if I were a betting man, our story covered the first 3 of what are going to be 13 books. So if I had to put even money, I'd say there's a great possibility there may be a sequel. The stories in these books it is a saga, and the children get put through quite a gauntlet where they, obviously in our film, you see the obstacles ahead of them, and they grow more complicated over the course of this book series, which I know is just now coming to Japan. So there's no screenplay yet, but I would not be surprised if one gets underway shortly.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been left open for a sequel. I think the only problem would be that these kids don't grow up in the books, so it might be like a little tricky for me and Liam to play, 14 and 12 again when I'm 16 and Liam's 15. I'm not really sure, but I mean, I think if it doesn't happen, this movie is still very complete in itself, so I think it could go either way, really.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a challenge, because in the books, unlike many other children's series, they don't age in these books. They age very slowly. I think it's in book 7 that Klaus becomes 13, and by that time being way way different. So I think it would just be a little difficult, just age-wise and proportion-wise, to be able to make us still look the same age. And yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting that it's sort of it's almost like a cliffhanger, leaving you this question of well, what happens next, and that's kind of what makes the movie great. But it also kind of, a lot of people feel that they need an answer. I mean, I don't know if we're doing another one. Yeah.